Hey guys, good afternoon. It's Brenda Meller with Meller Marketing, bringing you back for another slice of social media pie. And guess who I have with me today? A very special LinkedIn rock star, AJ Wilcox. AJ, how are you doing today?
Doing awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Good. Hey, it looks like you're walking. Are you on like a treadmill or what's going on over there?
Yep, I work on a treadmill desk. So
Awesome.
usually for interviews and things, I try to pause it.
Yeah,
But I found that during the whole COVID thing when everyone's at home and
yeah,
you're used to seeing everything be homey behind people,
right.
it's a good conversation starter.
Yeah, no, I love it. And actually, guys, I knew it because when we came into the pre-call, I saw AJ. I'm like, I've done a couple of prep strategy calls, I should say, with AJ. He's helped me out with some LinkedIn ads, which is the topic for today. But I saw him on the treadmill, and he actually inspired me. So I switched out my office chair. I'm in a yoga ball right now. So AJ and I we're both multitasking, right? We're getting our fitness in. We're getting a conversation started here. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
Strengthen your mind and your core.
There you go. So I just want to welcome all of you who are joining us today. Whether you're watching from your home office on a walking treadmill, on a yoga ball, on a desk chair, maybe you're sitting on your couch, your bed, maybe you're sitting outside. We'd love to know where in the world you're watching from. If you could please drop a comment below. The cool thing is when you comment, we can see you. If you're watching a live video and you can't comment, we might see that there are viewers, but we love to see comments. So please drop a comment below. Let us know where in the world you're watching from, where in the house you're watching from, and introduce yourself if you can. And AJ, I'm in Metro Detroit. I believe you're on the west coast of the U.S. Where are you joining us from?
Yes, I'm in the state of Utah.
Utah, that's right. And how are things over in Utah? I mean, it's crazy in the U.S. right now, but how are things generally speaking there?
They keep lifting restrictions, but the
Yeah,
numbers keep going up. Me and my family were staying nice and home and
right on.
isolated still.
Yeah, it's like we've gotten to this adjustment period. Like in the beginning, it was a bit of a shock, and we had to kind of figure out how to make it work. And now it's like we've done this for what, 3 months? We could probably go another year. We don't want to, but we probably could. We've adjusted, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, good. So we're going to be having a really great conversation here today, guys. And I called this show Social Media Pie, and Pie is an acronym. It stands for Inspiring People who Inform and Educate You. And I hand select people to be on my show based on people I connect with on LinkedIn. And sometimes selfishly, I pick people that I am very interested in the topic and learning a little bit more. And other times I get people nominated, to join me on the show. And we just have some really great conversations. And when I invite my guests, I always ask them, and I go, you can pick the topic, anything you want, to talk about, educational, informational, inspirational. And AJ is the LinkedIn ads expert. I mean, I have to say the backstory here. I had a question about an ad campaign I was working on with a client, and I was stumped and I couldn't figure it out. And I belong to a couple of LinkedIn expert groups, and I posted in a few of the groups, and AJ's name came up like 2 or 3 times. Like, he's the guy you have to go to. He'll know the answer to this question. And I have to say, like, I reached out to LinkedIn Help, and they really weren't giving me a definitive answer. And I reached out to AJ, and he gave me the answer. So I have to commend you, AJ, on your background. Why don't you, if you could, give us a little bit of your background? Who are you? What's your business all about?
Yeah, sure. So I've been doing digital marketing for like 13 years at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Started out in search engine optimization, and really I discovered LinkedIn ads about 9 years ago when I was working at my previous company,
Okay.
and I ended up growing that account to become LinkedIn's largest spending ads account worldwide. And after running that for 2.5 years, I went, wow, this can't be the only company that would just slay it on LinkedIn ads. There's got to be more. And
Right.
so, of course, an ad agency is the most straightforward model of sharing my experience of, spending tens of millions of dollars on ads and being able to share that with as many different companies as possible. So
Sure. Yeah.
it's been almost 6 years ago. I busted out on my own and been
Wow.
running B2 Linked, and we're an ad agency that just does LinkedIn ads. That's all we do.
And I'm gonna drop the web address up on screen for his company, guys. It's b2linked.com. I'm actually gonna do a quick screen share just so you can see it. Visit his website if you're interested in learning more about the company and what they do. But I just think it's fascinating. And I sometimes will come across people, AJ, in my network that will be like, gosh, you just do LinkedIn for a living. Like that's just like the cool thing. I do, LinkedIn strategy and coaching, and there's a market for folks like us out there. Whereas I focus more on kind of profile and using the network, you're very niche into just LinkedIn advertising, or are you helping people with Facebook ads and other ads as well?
Yep, just LinkedIn ads. That's all we
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a huge opportunity on this network, and that kind of gets us to the topic that we're talking about here today, which is, what does it take to have success on the best business ad platform. So I have to kind of ask the obvious question. Why do you think this is the best platform?
Well, we just see this over and over with our clients where they go, "Hey, our ideal customer is an important decision maker, and we're selling something that's high value.
Okay.
We can't reach them anywhere else. If you do Google ads, for instance, or just SEO, anyone can type a keyword. So you get all of these moms and pops kinds of leads coming in who can't afford you.
Yeah.
And if you do Facebook, Facebook's not good at really narrowing in on a very specific business audience. It's so good at consumer, but there just isn't another platform out there. And LinkedIn has it. I mean, we can target people by their company size, their industry, their exact job title, their seniority. We can target specific company names, even for those of you who have like a hit list. We call it account-based marketing or ABM. So it's just the targeting far and away makes it really the only option.
Yeah. And if you guys have never used LinkedIn advertising, and that might be part of the reason you're watching today and you're kind of curious about it, I have to agree with AJ. I'm kind of geeking out on you right now and from a marketing perspective, because I have used some of the other platforms, whether it's Google pay-per-click or Facebook ads or things like that. And there are just some capabilities within LinkedIn that I think I definitely agree with you, make it truly unique. Like sometimes I'll be working with someone and they'll say, wow, I didn't know you could target that in an ad. It's really interesting. And I have to say kind of the B2B audience, I mean, would you say some of the people that you're targeting on LinkedIn you can't reach elsewhere? I mean, in terms of job titles and seniority levels and things like that?
Yeah, I'd say the majority of our clients. And the reason why is because LinkedIn ads are just really expensive compared to other channels.
Yeah.
So, if you're going after like females 35 to 65, you can reach them so much cheaper in every other way. Don't use LinkedIn for that. But the only reason you would go and pay LinkedIn premium prices is if reaching that audience was very, very important.
Right. Good point. So I'm sure you've learned a lot of things in I think I heard you say about 9 years that you've been using LinkedIn ads and you know what it takes, here it is right here, what it takes to have success. So can you share with us some of your tips or strategies and help the viewers that might be watching us here today?
Yeah. So I've got this acronym that I want all of you to remember anytime you do social ads. And that's, you have to bring your AMO. AMO is your audience, your message, and your offer. Okay. So audience, it's really who you're targeting. And that makes sense. It's the reason we go to LinkedIn is for this amazing audience targeting around, high value B2B people. The message is really what your customer sees. And so that's the image or video you use and the ad copy you use. So that really can come later. But by far the most important piece is your offer. And that is, what is the call to action you're going to give them? What are you offering them to do? And the reason why this is so valuable and important is that you can ask anyone to do anything from an ad, but it doesn't mean they're going to be willing to do it, especially cold traffic. So I have this in my mind, this like order of types of offers you can give from like low friction down to high. So you can imagine low friction would be something like, hey, come and read this blog post we just put up. Yeah. Nothing's required of the user except just click and become informed.
Yeah. So what about gated? If you don't mind me jumping in, gated versus ungated. I mean, I see sometimes an ad, maybe you could explain what that term means, where there's like an ad and it's driving people to a blog and then it's gated. So what does that mean? And what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So gated content is really the way to go on LinkedIn. So this is kind of spoiler alert, but what we find is if you send someone to an offer at the very top of that friction order, it's like, just read a blog post, you're not asking for anything. Blog posts don't convert very high. And so you're going to pay this like really high $8 to $11 per click to get people to your blog, and they're not going to convert very high. And you'll end up with an astronomical cost per lead. And if you go to the opposite side, which is like pushing this cold traffic immediately to talk to my sales rep or buy something or do a trial or a demo of something. Right. Those are all asking way too much too soon to this cold audience. And of course you are expected to fill out a form there. But people are going to click because they're curious enough about what it is you do, but they're only going to convert at like 1.5% to 4%. Again, making your cost per lead really high. So the real value in LinkedIn in creating your offer is gated content. It's the things in the middle. Avoid the two extremes of the super low and the super high friction. Go for things that are like, we're going to provide you extreme value in the format of like, here's a free checklist or a cheat sheet or a guide, join this free webinar, come to this free in-person event. Those are the types of things that perform really well in LinkedIn ads.
So let me ask you just to follow up on that blog, because I've tried this before too, and I kind of feel like the gated thing, like you're saying, hey, read my blog, and then you send me to a website, and there's not like a downloadable checklist or anything substantial. Like I kind of wonder, like putting a gated in front of a blog. I hear what you're saying. It helps with the conversion because you get some data, but could it detract from, well, people go there like, I'm not going to fill that form out, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. If you're going to, we've done this a few times just to test, and we have gated a blog post just because the client said we don't have a PDF asset to share.
Sure.
And we haven't seen good results. And I'm imagining that it's because if I filled out a form and then just ended up on a blog post that I could have just Googled to get to, I'd probably feel a little bit burned.
Yeah, a little disappointed. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
So you got to give them something, right? You're getting something from them. You got to give them something substantial is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah. And you're telling them, like, by filling out this form, you're going to get, this asset that's going to teach you X, Y, and Z. It's going to solve a pain point or satisfy a curiosity for you. So as long as you fulfill on that, even if it is a blog post that is publicly available, repackage it as a PDF that they won't feel like burned or tricked.
Yeah, like they're taken advantage of. And I got to give you credit here right now too, AJ. You're like walking on a treadmill having this interview. I mean, this is like multitasking. I think this is super impressive. Isn't this impressive, you guys? Like he's walking, having this conversation, and you're not walking like super, super fast, but I'm like, I don't know that I could do that. Like actually walk and have a conversation and do an interview, whether it's a blog or a LinkedIn Live or anything like that. But I commend you, and you're multitasking, and I really admire that. When we were in the pre-call, you were looking up, and I usually tell people when we're doing the live interviews, make sure you're looking at the camera, but don't you have a setup do you have a screen that's behind you on the screen? And I can see your microphone in front of you right now, but what's your setup looking like over there?
Yeah, so I have my laptop down here hooked up to, I forget what it's called, but it's a system that can connect all kinds of different things. A docking station, that's what it's called.
Okay.
And then I have 2 ultra-wide monitors here. And
do you really?
I've stuck the camera in between them. So I ended up moving your face on the top screen right above the camera. So Brenda, I'm still looking right into your eyes, but hopefully it looks more like I'm looking at the camera.
No, I think it's impressive, and I love your microphone and even like what you've got behind you guys. I'm going to try to tighten this up a little bit so you can see, but you can see like right over AJ's shoulder on that other side says LinkedIn, a license plate. It's very cool. And then he's even got, do you see the AMO? Do you guys see that?
Yes.
Brilliant. It's really cool how you do that. That AMO.
That's the acronym.
Yeah. So for those joining late, I did pop it up. I'm going to pull it back up on screen again. But AJ was talking about, the important elements of success for LinkedIn ads, AMO, audience, message, offer. So you were talking about some offers. Do you want to, give us a couple more ideas on that line, AJ?
Yeah, I think so. What we find is, we tell clients, you've got to have something to offer people. And a lot of times they'll go, oh, let's dig into our content reserve and go find a white paper that we did a few years ago. And what we find is, we have we have guides that convert at 55%, and we have guides that we haven't gotten a conversion on, like 0% conversions. And so what it tells you is it's really important to have a piece of content that your audience actually cares about.
Yeah.
And if it really does, like, by reading this guide, you will be able to do X, Y, and Z. It solves a pain point, something that keeps them up at night. Then it's whether it's a guide, whether it's a 60-minute webinar, whether it's an ebook or a research report, no matter what format it takes, if it solves their pain point, they will fill out their information to get it. Okay,
really good. So you're kind of putting yourself in the minds and mindset of your customer, of your ideal target audience is what I'm hearing. AJ, is a really important thing.
Yes. And lots of times we'll counsel our clients, go to your sales team, talk to the people who are working with the clients every day, and they know their pain points. They know the questions they're always asking, and let that dictate what kind of content you create for them.
Yeah, it's a really good point. And even using some of those same words and phrases, don't use corporate speak and marketing speak, right? Like use, what do your customers say? Like, I can't figure out how to do X, or if only this, then that. So use those phrases and words perhaps too.
Oh yes, that's brilliant.
Yeah. So along those lines, I've heard of some new, LinkedIn ads is ever evolving and changing, AJ, and you probably are, you're my go-to person. When I'm ever looking for help on ads or a question, I go to AJ's profile. I know you've got like a blog, a YouTube channel, you've got like all kinds of great free resources that are out there. And you really are staying in tune with what LinkedIn is doing and evolving on the platform. So I've heard recently, and I think I got an email from LinkedIn on this, like this conversation messaging ad, and I might be using the wrong term, but can you describe for us what those new ads are? And do you have any experience with those, any success with those, or anything to share?
Yeah, totally. So this has been an ad format. They call it conversation ads, and it fits under the umbrella of what they now call sponsored messaging.
Okay.
And as opposed to all the other ad formats that LinkedIn has, where you can say, I'm only going to pay when someone clicks on my ad. Now with their sponsored messaging was the old one, and now conversation ads, that's a companion to it.
Okay.
These, you're going to pay a certain amount. It's usually like 20 cents to 60 cents per person that you send it to.
Okay.
And it shows up in their messaging box.
Really? Okay. So is it coming in? Does it say sponsored when it's coming in, or is it identifiable as an ad, or what does that look like?
Yeah, it'll say in light gray letters, sponsored or promoted.
Okay.
I think it's sponsored. And when you get something from Sales Navigator, like individual organic outreach, it says in bold letters, like Sales Navigator or InMail or something. This one's a little bit less pronounced.
Okay. All right. So have you used them, and then what are you seeing in terms of success rate, and what tips do you have for people that are considering those conversation ads?
Yeah, so here's the reason I love conversation ads as compared to the sponsored messaging so much is sponsored messaging. It's kind of like dropping an email on someone, and you paid just to send it to them. So if they open them at a high rate and if they click on them at a high rate, your costs per come way down.
Okay.
But you have to have something pretty special that a cold audience would be excited enough about it to open. It's not just a cold pitch. Conversation ads, it's the same type of thing, but it's like a chatbot experience. So you can do this choose your own adventure thing, like, hey, are you going to this conference? And if they say yes, you can say, cool, stop by our booth, and we'll give you something. Or if they say no, you go, okay, do you want to come join this webinar we're doing next week about the same topic of the conference, so you can be involved in your industry?
Okay.
That's the kind of logic you can get. And so we found, we actually have, when LinkedIn released their case study about conversation ads when they launched it, it was actually our agency who ran those campaigns that they featured.
Cool. Okay.
And what we found is running pretty much exactly the same thing, the same audiences, pretty much the same ad copy. We found conversation ads had about a 30% lower cost per conversion. So
then sponsored messages?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And I reason that it's because we're giving people more shots on goal. So if our original email wasn't interesting to them, maybe the second offer that we make in the message sequence, maybe that will get them. And it did. It got 30% extra people. Okay.
So I'm just trying to understand too. So and I'm not sure if I'm crystal clear on it. There might be other people struggling with this too. So a sponsored message is a longer form. It's like an email. Whereas conversation, is there a character limit that cuts you off sooner, or how are they making those more chat-like than a long form email?
Yeah, there is a character limit, but I think it's large.
Okay.
But the whole goal of the conversation ad is to make someone feel like they're responding to a real person. Okay. So you probably want to keep it short, like keep it to a question and a couple of responses so that they can start working their way down that tree.
So do you set up the responses in there? Like, yes, no, I'm not going to be there. Leave me alone, AJ. I mean, do you put like those things in there?
Yep. You pre-program all this. It takes us, if we have to build a sponsored message by hand, it takes us about 5 minutes. I mean, it's not a small process. Okay. But if we do a conversation ad, per ad that we create, it takes about 30 minutes right now.
Okay.
So it's a lot to create, but certainly if you look at it as being going, wow, 30% more efficient, I think that's worth my extra time.
It's worth the time. And talk to me about A/B testing. This is something I've had a conversation with you in the past, and explain the concept to those who aren't familiar with A/B testing, and what is the value in doing a test on messages.
Yes, so A/B testing is basically just taking two of pretty much the same ad or the same audience or the same anything really, and then just varying one thing about it, so that when you see the results, you know that there's only one factor that could have caused that. Okay. So for instance, when we're A/B testing ads on LinkedIn, we might have the same image on two different ads going to the same landing page, but maybe our intro text, one is maybe aspirational messaging, like we want to make you feel like the hero, and the other one is maybe fear-based messaging, like if you don't take this action, you're going to be in trouble or you're going to lose out somehow.
Yeah.
And now when we're running these ads based off of the click-through rate, which is basically how interested someone is in your ad, and then based off of like the cost per conversion when they actually make it to where you're sending them, you can tell, oh wow, it looks like aspirational works 30% better here. This is great. And you're learning about your audience and what they like and don't like.
That's very cool. So, one thing I've seen in A/B testing that people do wrong, and tell me what you think about this, is testing more than one criteria. So I'm running 2 blog ads, but they're pointing to 2 different visuals, 2 different landing pages, 2 different body copy. everything is really different. The only thing that's similar is that they're both blog ads. So, can you mess this up A/B testing wise, or is it okay to do that? Having multiple elements that are different.
Yeah. So all else held equal, as long as you have a large enough budget, you really can't screw it up. Okay. But what we find in advertising is, this is especially pronounced in Facebook. There were, and I forget the name of the company, but they were early on a really big Facebook ads tool. And what they touted is, we'll take your different messages and we'll break them up into a big multivariate test where, we'll take your 2 ads and we'll turn it into 16 or 30.
Wow.
And what's so funny in advertising is Facebook's going to show each of those ads 1 or 2 times, and then it's going to go, this is too much. And it's going to basically make a decision about, okay, what are the 3 that we should keep pushing?
Right.
And so you went through the effort to create a whole bunch of variations that will never even be seen, and therefore the data that you come up with isn't even going to be valid.
Yeah, it's true.
So in advertising, I like to keep it to 2 ads running at any given time. That way you can't screw it up.
Yeah. And I like when you say it's a very simple process to just change one thing. And I've learned that from you, just change only the visual or only the body copy or only the call to action, something, but like one element is changed. And I think that's even something I've seen from LinkedIn when they push out their reports about LinkedIn marketing solutions. And one thing I do want to mention for those folks that might be joining us, they missed the intro to this. I'm talking today with AJ Wilcox. AJ works for himself. You do not work for LinkedIn, right, AJ?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And I think that's a really important thing to mention, guys, because when you are getting advice from anyone, whether it is LinkedIn's giving you advice, I'm giving you advice, AJ, you have to think about, where is their vested interest? LinkedIn wants us, and I love LinkedIn as a platform. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for LinkedIn. But LinkedIn wants us to stay on the site longer. They want us to, as advertisers, they want us to spend more money because that helps their business model, right? And they do want to give us best practices so that we're seeing results and success. But I think having someone like AJ who doesn't have a vested interest, meaning he doesn't make more money if you do more ads on LinkedIn, he's going to continue to keep clients where his income's coming from if you're satisfied. So he doesn't have a vested interest in having you spend as much money as you have. He wants you to spend more efficiently. Would you like to comment on that, AJ?
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate. Anytime you talk to people at LinkedIn, even if they're really smart, their responses are going to be colored by, oh, if I let too much out here, or if I share too transparently, I'll get in trouble. And so they have these very political copy paste responses to things, which I think is really unfortunate. I'm really big on clarity. And so when I ask a question, I don't want a politician kind of answer. I want someone to tell me exactly the answer to my question. So that's what I always try to do, even if it loses me business.
I think people appreciate that honest approach in what you do, and you're candid and in your responses back. I think people appreciate that because they see sincerity in there. But you've had conversations with people at LinkedIn, have you? When you're working on ad campaigns, you reach out to folks at LinkedIn Marketing Solutions. You've had conversations with them.
Oh yeah. And in fact, I have newish podcast. Episode 22 just dropped this week, and
Oh, cool.
it's called the LinkedIn Ads Show.
Okay.
And I've interviewed the product people at LinkedIn who are over
Really?
each of the individual products that we use.
Okay.
So feel free to check out those episodes if you want. But yeah, I've been having, I mean, for years, I'll have these kind of behind closed doors conversations with the product people.
Yeah.
Just very open. And of course, they're all under heavy NDA. Like I can't share what we talk about or anything. But I was so excited to say, okay, I want to bring you on my show. And even if your PR person's going to be listening
Right.
and
Listening, yeah.
exactly, I still want people to be able to hear, like as a fly on the wall, the conversations that we're having behind closed doors.
No, I think that's awesome. And I'm gonna grab that podcast link. If I can't find it, AJ might message you and say send it to me. But I'll put it in the comments in this video later on both LinkedIn, Facebook, and then I also pull this video down. I'll put it on YouTube and I'll put it there as well. But I think there's real value there, guys, because how often it's really hard to get a hold of a person at LinkedIn. But it sounds like, I don't know if you have a bat phone in your office too, AJ, or like maybe it's a linked, is it an in phone? Like you pick up the handle as the in word or something, but you have folks at LinkedIn that you can call that can provide support if people have questions about LinkedIn marketing solutions, if they're a client of yours, of course.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
great.
go to the ends of the earth to help a client solve a problem.
Yeah.
Our LinkedIn reps, I mean, every rep that we work with over there, they know that we don't come to them for stupid problems because we can solve those ourselves.
Right.
They know we only, call them up when there's something big that has to be done internally.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, we're going to go into Q&A in just a minute or two here, guys. And I want to remind you, if you would like to ask a question of AJ, you can just drop your question below. I'm going to drop the ticker in here right now to remind you. We've got about a 30-second delay or so, so I'll wait for those questions to start to come in right now. But I mean, I think one of the great things I've learned about, following and connecting with AJ, I mean, he's just a huge source of knowledge about LinkedIn ads and LinkedIn marketing solutions, and he works for himself, like I said. So I feel like I can trust what he's saying because his vested interest is in helping me as his client and not in necessarily generating more ad revenue for LinkedIn. I get it. LinkedIn's a business and I get that, but it's nice to have somebody on your side that you're working with. I mean, I have some knowledge of LinkedIn ads, and I'm going to give a shout out right now to Terry Bean. So when I was promoting this show, Terry said some comment like, "Oh, Brenda, you're going to learn so much from AJ," and he was kind of ribbing me a little bit. I'm like, I am going to learn because he is like super, super deep in LinkedIn ads and marketing solutions. And I know enough that you and I, AJ, we can have some intelligent conversations, but you go so much deeper. I mean, like the back doors and the corners and the nuggets, and there's so much really great information that you have to share. So I was like super excited about this conversation today, and I'm looking forward to seeing if others have questions as well. So
I just so much love to geek out with other people who get it. And there's not a whole lot of us, sophisticated advertisers out there using LinkedIn. So it's always fun to have these conversations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I don't know if this is a question from Timothy necessarily, AJ, or, what are your thoughts on getting a hold of a person on LinkedIn and chat? And for those that aren't aware, how do you get to LinkedIn chat and who gets access to that?
Okay, so from within Campaign Manager, this is fairly recent, just happened this year. There's now, when someone is manning the phones or the desk or whatever, you'll see an option, and I forget exactly where it is, but there's an option to chat with support. And that is by far the easiest and fastest way to get help with what you're seeing. So I highly recommend it. If, however, you don't see that option in your account, it could be you're just between hours where they're not actually responding. Yeah. Then what you have to do is you have to go to the help center. There are two alternate ways, but I'll tell you the actual way. You go to the help center and you have to type some query, and then you say something like, "Oh, this query wasn't helpful." Then you'll see a contact link at the bottom of the page, and then when you click that, you can actually fill out a form. So you have to jump through a few hoops.
But even then, that's like submitting an email to LinkedIn, and then you got to wait back to hear from them, right?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay. So I only know one way of getting a hold of live chat. You just taught me a new way. So I can get through live chat through Campaign Manager if I am paying for advertising on LinkedIn, right? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't be surprised if even if your account wasn't spending, I wouldn't be surprised if the option's still there.
Okay, so let's say, I mean, if it was a LinkedIn profile question, I probably couldn't go through Campaign Manager.
Yeah,
it would have to be a question about LinkedIn marketing solutions, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so the only other way I know of getting a hold of somebody at LinkedIn actually there's two ways. Through LinkedIn chat, you have to be a premium or sales navigator subscriber, and then you get that live chat option sometimes. It's and to your point, it's only when there's staff, when they have people in front of the phone, so to speak, that are able to get a hold of. And then the other way to AJ, I don't know who I heard this from, but go on to Twitter and type in at LinkedIn Help a question, and they do a pretty good job there. Have you ever used that feature before and they reply back to you on Twitter?
Yeah, in fact, that was one of my kind of secret weapons, because Twitter will respond faster than like filing a ticket with them. So
right, where's the irony there? Like,
yeah, for real.
Use a different social network to get help on LinkedIn within the network there.
Yeah. Something else I found to be really helpful is there's a LinkedIn group, and I think it's called LinkedIn Ads Support. If you go and join the group and you just share like, hey, here's the problem I'm having, they have LinkedIn employees from support who are watching those. And most of the time they'll if it's not a simple fix, they'll say, hey, I'm going to private message you. Let's connect so I can send you some information. And what they end up doing is filing the ticket for you.
Really? Okay. So it's not really getting you an answer, but it's like a concierge service that's putting the question in for you, right?
Yeah. Unless they know the answer. And if they do, and other group members can share too. Like if there's a simple answer, great, you've got it. If not, you're still going to be filing a ticket.
Okay. So is that group open, or is it listed? Like I can search for it and find it, or is it like one of those unlisted where you have to be invited into the group?
It's listed, but you do have to ask to go in, and then someone will approve you a LinkedIn employee.
Okay. And what was the name of the group again?
I think it's called LinkedIn Ads Support.
Okay.
But
I'm just going to put this.
I'm going to paste the link right here in our chat too.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. And then I'm going to throw this up on screen right now. And so AJ and I have this like kind of chat that's behind the scenes. This is like a private chat that he's sending me. So I am going to go into this message right now, and I'm going to drop this URL in here. And then I'm actually going to, I'll share it up on screen too, so you guys can see this, because I had not heard of this group. And this is like, every time I talk to you, AJ, I like learn new things. I'm like, oh, that's a cool thing. You know, so I learned like new little, I feel like I'm on the bat phone with you right now. So I'm going to click on add to stream. So this is it, LinkedIn advertising group. And so this is the group and they've got a lot of members, 6,445 members. And gosh, look at 42 connections. I see a lot of LinkedIn rock stars. I see Debbie Weems on here. Here's AJ. I see Greg Cooper. So a lot of folks that specialize in LinkedIn, which would make sense, are a part of that group. So very cool there. Awesome. And then you just dropped the podcast in here as well. I'm going to put that up on screen as well as put this in the banner. So tell us about your podcast, AJ. How long have you been doing this, and what do you talk about on your show?
So just started around the first of the year. Like I said, 22 episodes out, and it's a podcast all about LinkedIn ads. So if you're interested in what we're saying here and you want to go really deep, it's great. If you have just a passing interest, maybe it's too deep, I don't know. But the way that I handle the podcast, if it's not an interview with someone at LinkedIn, it's me basically imagining that I'm training a member of my team. And so it goes really deep into any given subject about LinkedIn ads. So yeah, check it out. I'm a big fan of doing it and just feeling like I can drain my brain out on a whole subject.
That's awesome. And is it you talking, or do you interview sometimes? Is it a little combination of both that you're doing on there?
Yeah, I'd say about 90% of the time it's just me talking, and then about 10% of the time it'll be an interview. I mean, quite honestly, I look at it and go, there's maybe like, I can count on one hand the number of people that I would go, ooh, this person's so authoritative about LinkedIn ads, I want to put them in front of my audience.
Cool.
So the types of people that we interview are either LinkedIn employees or someone who's providing something really special to LinkedIn advertisers.
Because I have to imagine there's not many people out there in the world, AJ, that are deeper in LinkedIn marketing knowledge than you who don't work for LinkedIn. I mean, I commend you, because I think you've got a very, you've got, a little bit of a corner on this market. Like I said, when I was asking around for questions and I couldn't get, an answer from LinkedIn Help, I was like, I can't figure this out. And your name came up, like I said, 2 to 3 times. And I don't remember anybody else's name being mentioned. So you've got really a great personal brand for yourself. And I'm excited about this LinkedIn ad show. I'm going to definitely add this to my podcast and listen in and tune in. And I would encourage you guys that are watching here the same. AJ, I know you have other free resources and downloads. And tell us a little bit about where we can find more information from you and some of the resources that you offer your community.
Sure. So I actually did a course with LinkedIn Learning or lynda.com.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so
Cool.
I'm a big fan of that one. I'll throw that link in here too.
Okay.
Uh, Anyone who's just looking to get started with LinkedIn ads, check
Mhm.
out this course. If you're on LinkedIn Premium, it's free. Otherwise, I think it's $25. So
Okay.
just, I mean, next to nothing. And it'll take you from basically no understanding and knowledge of LinkedIn ads to pretty, what I would consider intermediate.
Okay. Very
I
good. Look
also
at that.
have,
Love it.
yes.
I love your expression, like like the personality part of it. It's fun.
Oh man, I was in a 2-hour photo shoot and
Yeah.
we did all of these like proper and prim poses. And
Oh
at the
gosh.
end, they were like,
Painful.
"Hey, and just be a little bit wild." And so I did that. And of
Yeah.
course, that's the one that makes the.
Well, because it's like it's fun. It makes you look like a human being, and it exudes enthusiasm, and it brings I mean, the finger pointing, it brings the audience in. And I did a photo shoot. I have a guy here in Metro Detroit. His name's Scott Lawrence. I'm going to give a plug to him right now. But he does headshots, corporate headshot photos, and same thing. You do all these posts, smiling, turn this way, turn that way, and then at the end, he's like, just give me a bunch of funny, weird poses, and look at the camera weird, and roll your eyes, and look this way. And same for me, AJ. It's like when I use those photos to promote webinars and events, like those are the ones that get the greatest engagement. And people are like, oh my gosh, I love your fun poses. Like it just makes some personality in there. So
Photographers out there, you should just start with that. We don't need
no,
the 2-hour
well,
long.
and I think it has to be genuine. I mean, what I know about you, and this is part of your personal brand. My friend John Asperian, he's also one of the LinkedIn rock stars. He has a book called Content DNA. You guys got to check out his book. It's awesome. And in his book, he talks about being authentic and genuine. You want to be the same person you are online as you are in person when you meet. And AJ, you're that kind of person. I mean, I see this photo of you and I'm not like, well, that doesn't match what I know about AJ. Like he's a corporate employee. What is this? I mean, that matches your personality. It really does. So this is a course you said it's inside LinkedIn Learning, and you can only access it if you have the paid premium. But if you have paid premium, you can get unlimited access to LinkedIn Learning, right? All of these courses that are in here.
Yep. And if you buy this one off, I think it's $25, which
Oh, okay.
the material in here, it's the same thing that I would teach you and your team if you brought me
Mm-hmm.
in to train them one-on-one. But
Okay.
I charge $500 an hour and this is $25 for the same thing. So
Yeah.
I would say do that.
Yeah, that's a good deal. And if you're looking for, I mean, if budget is a concern, I mean, there are lower cost options on doing that. But the trade-off is you don't get AJ. So you can't say, but what about this? And I have a specific situation. I mean, if you're looking for more training and guidance, I think working with you on one-on-one can be very helpful. And as we start to wrap the conversation here today, AJ, any kind of final thoughts for the group? Do you want to tell us a little, if like someone's watching and they want some help with LinkedIn, can you give us an overview of the services that you provide and how that works?
Yeah, sure. So we have two major services we offer. 90% of what we do is account management, where we take your account and we use all of our tips, tricks, everything we can think of to get you the best performance. So that's what most people take us up on. The other 10% is me personally teaching, training, consulting, auditing, that type of thing. So, I mean, really, whatever you need with LinkedIn ads, I want to make sure that we have some kind of solution for you. But most of the time, it's, let us take that off of your plate because we know how best to manage an account after spending $130 million.
Yeah. And I have to say too, I mean, my background, I was a corporate marketer before going independent on my own. And at times we managed our own ads in-house and we did Facebook, LinkedIn, Google pay-per-click, a couple other places. And at times we outsourced it to an agency. And even when I outsourced it to an agency, I was knowledgeable enough where I could ask informed questions. And sometimes I found that the agency wasn't as knowledgeable as I was, in-house. And they just didn't have the depth in the platform. And I think it was still probably rolling out at the time too. But I've always been so impressed with you, AJ, because you have this depth of this is the only thing he does, you guys, the only thing that he does is LinkedIn ads. So your depth of knowledge is I have not seen anybody else as knowledgeable about this as you. And you talked about your hourly rate, 500 per hour. I mean, I've booked a couple of these sessions with AJ and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a lot to pay per hour, but oh my gosh, the value I got out of that. I can tell you on multiple occasions, the tips that you have given have helped me to save my clients money on LinkedIn ads, have helped us to increase our performance. Our click-through rate is higher. Our cost per click is lower. Our impressions, AJ, I'll show you the data at one point. Our impressions went from okay, and I didn't even know they were just okay, to oh my gosh, we're reaching a lot of people. with these ads. So it's definitely money well spent. So I'm just giving a little bit of a promotion for you. I don't work for AJ. I get no referrals or anything. I really, guys, what I do when I interview people on the show is I pick people who I see that bring value to the table. And in AJ's case, he definitely does that.
Well, thank you so much. That makes me feel so warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, I think I've given you a LinkedIn recommendation, didn't I? If I haven't, I should give you one.
Oh yeah, I think you have.
I think I did.
I'll take it.
Yeah, because I think one of the markets you serve, if I'm not mistaken, is higher education.
Yes.
And there's been a few times where I've seen ads, and I think I've even told you about this. I've seen ads that are being served to me on LinkedIn by educational institutions. And guys, I have a bachelor's degree. I've got a double master's degree as well. I have no desire to ever go back to school ever again. I'm not going to earn, I promise you this, I will never earn a third master's degree. And there's probably a 0% chance I'm ever going to go for a doctoral degree. But people are serving me ads on LinkedIn, AJ, for these degrees. And I see them and I'm like, they are wasting money. And they're spending a significant amount of money to reach, because, a degree costs anywhere from 25 to 50,000, 100,000 plus. So it's an investment. You're reaching people on LinkedIn who are looking to grow up in their careers. But would you agree? I mean, they're wasting money sending it to people like me.
Yeah, especially when it's so easy to say, I want to target people with a bachelor's, but
Right.
exclude anyone who has a master's or higher.
Right.
It's so easy to put that filter on there. And it just breaks my heart when people aren't doing just the very basics. I mean, there's so much more advanced things you can do, but that's the basics. Like,
it's just like a minor. It's like the exclusion alone. Like, don't. And I've even had this with clients. You can exclude competitors, and I think that was something you taught me. You can put in filters for companies that you want to serve your ads to, and you can also say exclude companies with these words in the name, and you can actually filter that in. So stop wasting money. Like, be more efficient about it, right?
Oh yeah, especially if you're paying $8 to $11 to use LinkedIn ads, you should use your exclusions very widely to just make sure that you're not showing to current customers, you're not showing to competitors, you're not showing to people who've already clicked and converted and all that. So yeah, I think it's super valuable to use those exclusions.
Awesome. All right, AJ, well, I'm going to drop a couple things up on screen here real quick. First, I'm going to show folks your LinkedIn profile. And are you open to connecting with individuals on LinkedIn, or what is your, do you accept anyone, or, only folks who personalize invitations, or only folks that are looking for help, or what's your kind of point of view on invitations?
Yes, just make sure you customize the invitation so I know that you heard me on Brenda's show. Because if it's not customized and I can't tell why you want to connect, I'm just going to ignore it. But absolutely, let me know that you heard me here, you want to be connected. I'll accept those for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you for opening your network up to us, AJ. So as we wrap, did I get everything, AJ? Any final comments? I think I asked you any final comments already, but anything else before we wrap here for today?
Oh, I think that's good. I mean, anything you guys need with LinkedIn ads, if you just go to our website, b2linked.com, and fill in the form, you won't go to a sales rep and you don't go get put on our newsletter or anything like that. It just goes directly to my inbox, and I'm not a sales guy. So feel free to reach out and ask anything you want.
Yeah, and I echo that. When I worked with AJ, when I first reached out to him, I didn't feel like he was like the salesman who was like pushing a bunch of stuff on me. I mean, he was actually giving me a bunch of free resources, and I think I even said, "But what can I buy from you?" If I want, and I'm like at a point where I'm like a DIY person, but then there's an extent where I like want some specific questions and some one-on-one support. And I even reached out to him. I'm like, what can I do on a one-on-one basis with you? So check out right here, guys, b2linked.com, I should say. That's in there. And then as we wrap the show here today, I do want to remind you guys to go to mellermarketing.com/subscribe, and you'll get notification of my upcoming LinkedIn live interviews where you can learn from experts like AJ and others. And then I also include LinkedIn strategy tips. And I don't spam you. I love when you said that, AJ, like people, if they want to join my newsletter, they'll get it, but I'm not going to like send you like 5,000 emails. You'll get like maybe one a week from me. And even like, this is a holiday week, I'm not doing an email this week, guys. Sorry, you just don't get an email from me this week. You're gonna have to deal, right? All right, AJ. Well, it's been a pleasure. How far have you walked so far? Is it kind of tracking as you go right now, or what's going on?
Yep, I'm right about 7 miles for the day so far. So I got about 7 more to go.
Okay, awesome. And I saw Joella just asked a question. I'm going to actually ask AJ to respond to that on the LinkedIn thread. Where do you find out more information about that? I'll ask you just to reply back on that if you could, because we're going to kind of wrap this up right now.
For sure. Absolutely.
All right. Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much, AJ. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And, hopefully we'll get to meet in the future at some point. feel like we know each other because I've talked to you a couple times now, but maybe we'll get to meet at a conference or an event in the future at some point.
Oh, that'd be so much fun when meeting in person becomes a thing again.
Yeah, right? Yeah, awesome. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching today. And one final thing, as you're watching, click to share this video, whether you're watching this on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, share it with someone in your network, share it with your internal marketing team, those folks that might be spending advertising dollars on LinkedIn. You'll get some great resources into looking up the information that we shared with you here today, but please click to share this along. And even if you're watching this in playback, you can still leave us a comment later on. Let us know if you found this session helpful. In fact, right now, before you leave, if you think AJ was awesome, reply in comments and just say, AJ, you are awesome. AJ, you're awesome. Something like that. Just tell him. Give him a little bit of love in there if you could. All right, AJ, thank you, sir.
So
You're awesome. It was a great interview. All right, thank you so much again. And everybody stay safe and stay healthy, and we'll see you on live again here in the future. Have a great 4th of July weekend, and we'll see you soon.